Morning, Linda.
Good morning. How are you?
This is Linda Shea from Frederick County Animal Control. I'm doing very well, thank you. And you and Sean have brought in a little cutie today.
We did. Look at that tail. Isn't that tail great?
Well, there's not much of a tail there.
There's not. It's docked, but it doesn't really stop moving. But this is Sparky. He is a very senior dog. He's about 14 years old. He's a mix between a Scottish Terrier and a Cocker Spaniel. And he was owner relinquished, and the reason he's at the shelter, and I know you're going to not like...
Go ahead, lay it on me.
Go ahead, I'll tell you. We'll have a lot of people up in arms over this. But he was purchased when he was a puppy at 8 weeks old from a breeder to grow up with the kids. And that's one of the conversations we have with adopters. You know, well, what happens when the kids go to college? Well, you know, most people will keep the pet. This family decided that they didn't want him anymore. They couldn't take care of him. It was a lot of trouble to come home and let him out at lunchtime. So they relinquished a 14-year-old dog to the animal shelter. And we painted the worst case scenario for this family. He's older. He's in competition with young dogs. The stress is going to put him over the edge. Is this really humane? And they still signed him over. So,
okay, so what else do you want to do? What are you trying to do to me? Trying to just drive my blood pressure through the ceiling?
No, not really. We're trying to get this doggy a home. He needs somewhere to retire. I mean, he is 14 years old. He doesn't act like a 14-year-old. We know he's deaf. He really doesn't respond to sound. But friendly little guy.
when the owners brought him in, did they say Sparky's deaf?
No, that was not. And we do ask about, are there any health issues? So I guess it's possible you don't realize that if you've got a routine in your house and you don't really call the dog if he just like shows up, simultaneously when you're doing stuff, that's possible. But we know that he doesn't really respond to sound in the shelter, and sometimes the shelter gets pretty noisy, so that might be a plus for him. But he's just very affectionate. He's very outgoing. He's very friendly. Comes up to the front of the cage. They did drop off the little carrier that he's used to sleeping in, so a lot of times you'll see him in there, but then he comes right out when people go by. We do assess animals every day. We make tough decisions every day, and we just didn't think. We really think that he is, adoptable. We think that somebody out there will have a big heart for a senior dog and know that, he just needs a place for, a few years, although he's in good condition for 14, so it might be surprising, how long he might end up living. But we just weren't ready to throw in the towel and give up on him, so he's available. But he's adorable. He's about 20 pounds. Again, very friendly, very handleable. He is one of the few small dogs I've ever known to eat, like the milk bone treats. Usually small dogs like the little soft things, but he's ready to chew on things. And he's good looking. He's a little like a buff color. And again, that tail just doesn't stop. And he's got a little whimper to him, but relatively quiet, well-mannered.
He's a very sweet guy, and if you hadn't have told me he was 14, I wouldn't have guessed that.
Yeah, when I first saw him, I was thinking, 5, 7, somewhere around there. And
he doesn't have the milky eyes or anything like that. I mean, a little bit of gray around his muzzle there, and a very sweet guy. And deaf, is that can that be a problem in a household? Do you have to do anything? I mean, I guess you can't call your dog.
Right, you can't call him, so safety is an issue. You'd have to keep him on a leash or harness.
Okay, all right.
And then as far as getting his attention, you don't want to sneak up on him. You want to make sure he knows where you are, kind of like you don't sneak up behind horses. You kind of let them know where you are. So, but other than that, I mean, in the kennels, we haven't had any issue. It's just a matter of, if he's sleeping, you can stomp on the floor to get some vibration so he realizes that you're there.
We cannot go into a house and figure out a family's dynamics. Kids are raised, they go away to college, and at that point, they, just like Andy in Toy Story 3, getting rid of the toys, they throw the dog out of the house at that point and just take him to the shelter. That is an incredible story.
It is. It's true. I couldn't make these things up if I wanted to.
No. You just about top yourself every time you come in. I do believe I have successfully put a twit pic of Sparky on my Twitter page, WFRE Tom. Or you can go to WFRE.com, follow the social links, and friend any of us here at WFRE. See a picture of this guy. As you said, he does not look 14. He's very sweet. I mean, he came into the studio, and I'm calling him, and I didn't know he was deaf at that point. And then Sean kind of pointed him over, and he's a sweet lover dog. Very, very nice little guy, and that is an unbelievable story, which I don't believe at all. I mean, I'm sorry to be such a cynic, but I've heard them all, and that's a new one. Call the shelter, Frederick County Animal Control. It's 301-600-1546. Sparky is our Shockley Honda Pet of the Week. He's a sweet guy. And I'm sure you pick these stories every week just to come in here.
You know
just
what?
to get a reaction
Sean
from
picked
me.
this one this week.
Well, the people, WFRE listeners have huge hearts, and I'm
They
sure
do.
that maybe somebody's
know.
talking to somebody right now about going to see Sparky, and we'll have him up on our webpage later on today, or you can go to my Twitter page or Facebook page. Happy Valentine's Day, sweetheart.
Same to you.
I'll see you next Tuesday.
Yep.
Happy Valentine's Day, Sean. There's Taylor Swift.